I just farted, and now I feel like there's something dribbling down my leg, and I really hope I didn't shit myself. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. I didn't shit myself.
Yo, who the f is MattCMG?
Whoa! What it is, what it do, paisanos? It's your boy, MattCMG, and today I got a little bit of a scenario for you, right? So, you're watching your favorite movie, Gay N-Words from Outer Space, as most people do on a daily basis, and you get to the end of the movie, and the credits begin to roll. You know, you've enjoyed the ride, but all good things must come to an end. But aside from the story itself, how does a movie get you to really feel those final moments and make you wish the ride never ended? Well, in my expert opinion, there is no more effective method than finding the perfect song for your end credits. Well, there's probably like a million other more effective ways, but this is the topic of the video, so suck my wiener. Music in general is, of course, a huge part of any piece of media, because music is the one thing that can speak to everybody regardless of language and all that gay shit. You know, I could not imagine the supersonic fights in Sonic Frontiers without that pop-punk-ass soundtrack in the background, and this goes for pretty much every piece of media. Well, not the pop-punk part, but the music part. You get the idea. Take the music out of your favorite scene, it completely changes the vibe, and in some cases can even completely ruin it. While silence can often be very effective in film as a storytelling tool a la Breaking Bad, music and general sound design play a massive role in filmmaking, so adding music to a scene where there otherwise was none can completely change the vibe as well. Bravo, Vince! That being said, sometimes a good old-fashioned needle drop is all you need, and we ain't talking Fantano, baby, you know what I'm talking about? Hey, fuck you. Anthony Fantano is a cockboy. While licensed music in TV and movies are rather common and can make certain scenes iconic, I think that the end credits music is a very underrated and extremely effective place in which these can be implemented. And no, I am not crazy. I am not crazy! Today, I wanted to go through a few examples of how the music choice for a movie's end credits or final scene can help shape the vibe of that film after you have already seen it. I realize that this is an extremely niche topic that probably nobody but me gives a shit about, but if you ask me, the end credits music is an extremely underrated piece of a movie's creation. It is the last thing that you hear from the film, so it has to leave you with some kind of impact in order to expand upon the actual ending of the story, if you feel me. But before we get into it, some criteria, some ground rules. For a song to count as an ending song in this video, it has to be used in either one of the final scenes or during the actual end credits themselves. You know, your standard mid-movie needle drops don't count, intros don't count, climax scenes don't count. It has to be during the actual wind down of the story. I'd say within the last 2 to 4 scenes if we really want to stretch it. 4 might be a little bit too generous. We'll still stick with like 2 or 3. How about that? Additionally, I'll be specifically focusing on licensed music or songs that were repurposed for a movie. So as much as I would love to use like the final scene of Avatar or something like that, I am banning myself from using OSTs. That being said, songs made specifically for movies can count. However, they have to also be regular songs on their own outside of that. So, you know, Kung Fu Fighting from Kung Fu Panda can work, but not the actual Hans Zimmer score of the movie. If you catch my drift. That original song is like low-key racist. Like, actually, if you go back and listen to it, it's like straight up, it's so fucking racist, it's funny. Shouts out racism. But with that now established, smash that motherfucking like button, or I will tear you open and ignite you in flame! And let's get into it. Now, if you were to ask me what movie I've seen the most times, you'd probably be pretty surprised to learn that my answer is actually The Hangover. I have seen every version of this movie you could possibly imagine. Right? You know, I've seen, the original full, uncut, uncensored version. I've seen the edited for TV version. And hell, I even used to make a game out of seeing how different TV networks would censor this movie. You know, one network has like somebody badly dub over Bradley Cooper saying, "forget you" instead of "fuck you." And then, another network will just like mute the entire line so nothing in the scene makes any more sense. It's pretty interesting, and I'm definitely autistic for giving a shit. Alan is literally me. That being said, the Hangover series has some of the best needle drops of all time, in my opinion. The I'ma Be scene from part 2, In the Air Tonight with Mike Tyson, the Eco scene playing homage to Rain Man in the casino, Mr. Chow singing Hurt in the third one. There's just so many great music-related moments in this series, right? For end credits specifically, though, the first 2 movies both end with songs by Florida. They each feature a montage of photos from the Wolfpack's night out with Right Round and Turnaround, respectively. The song's name is fucking really bad, by the way. Turn Around, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These are very clearly just party songs and nothing more, and they really do fit the vibe of the insanity of the nights that these guys have had, right? You spin my dick right round when I'm fucking gay, when I'm going to Pound Town. Gay flow rider. The third movie, though, has my absolute favorite in the entire series. Each of these movies feature at least one song by Kanye West, and my favorite of these is in the final scene of The Hangover 3, where the Wolfpack all walk out to Alan's wedding to Dark Fantasy by Ye. Easy. As the song plays, we flash back to similar moments throughout the other movies, showing us all of the crazy places that their benders have taken them. Now, I'm almost 100% certain that the only reason that this song was included was because it has the line, "The plan was to drink until the pain over, but what's worse, the pain or the hangover." I don't know why that was my Kanye impression. It was a Jewish doctor. But aside from that obvious kind of shoehorning in, I think it does fit pretty perfectly. No, their drunken adventures have taken them to all sorts of crazy places, but with the third movie really putting an emphasis on Alan maturing and no longer needing the Wolfpack. You know, it just feels like a final acknowledgement of how far these guys have all come together. You know, it's just such a triumphant song, you know, celebrating that these guys have all overcome all of this insanity and are still able to remain friends. You know what I mean? You know, everybody seems to only know this song from the fucking, you know, the cock piece memes from a while back, but I will always think of The Hangover whenever I hear it. I'm gay. Keeping in line with goofy comedies, let's talk about arguably the greatest movie ever made, Freddy Got Fingered. Haha, what if we pretended that the thing that is actually very bad was actually good? Haha, that would be funny, I think. Haha. Freddy Got Fingered is an infamously bad film for its dumb plot and over-reliance on gross-out humor. And it definitely is pretty bad, but I kinda unironically like it. Criterion Collection, by the way. As somebody with one of the most immature senses of humor on the planet, this movie is right up my alley. I mean, it was a Tom Green project from 2001. I really don't know what people were expecting aside from the dumbest shit you've ever seen. Anyways, this movie is fucking wild, with some even theorizing that the movie was intentionally written to be terrible in order to further emphasize its offensive nature. With a movie like that, I could think of no better artist to have a song associated with it than Eminem. I'm Eminem and I'm slamming men with a pen, when I'm Eminem with a man, and I like sucking men with a pen, when I'm fucking them in a band, and I'm fucking them in a man, and I'm gay with a man, because I'm fucking Eminem and I'm gay and I'm Eminem. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, I don't think I've really talked about it in videos very much, but I'm a pretty big Eminem fan, as you could probably tell by the fact that I am a fucking honky. So when I first watched this movie a couple years ago and then heard the real Slim Shady start playing at the end, I was unironically all about it. While the song was very clearly only included because of that one line about Tom Green humping a dead moose, I think it actually fits the film really well. While I admittedly don't know a whole lot about Tom Green, it's clear that he's had a career shaped by avoiding censorship, which is the exact thing that Eminem had to go through around the time this song came out. The real Slim Shady, and by extension the rest of the Marshall Mathers LP, is all about dealing with censorship and being able to express the dumbest, most offensive, off-color things, so I think it's very fitting that a movie that embodies that also ends with a song that embodies that. Maybe that's a stretch, but you know, it's Freddy Got Fingered. Who gives a fuck? He's a molester. He's a child molester. I unironically want to do a really long Eminem retrospective video. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. If you don't want to see that, then fuck you. I'm gonna make it anyways. You guys having a good time right now? Well, too bad. We're here to have a sad time. Well, it's more like an emotional time, but whatever. Fuck you. There was a meme there. Funny, haha. Now, I'm not saying that there are movies out there that I specifically only watch for the end credits, because that would be insane. But the Pokemon movies certainly come close. While I am clearly very biased because these movies are actually not very good, I think the end credits of the Pokemon movies have such a specific vibe to them that not a lot of other movies really have. The movies themselves are always hit or miss, but no matter how bad they get, I know that I will always get a little bit emotional when the end credits start rolling. Almost all of them show Ash and his friends just kind of walking to the next town and just kind of vibing, right? And it really makes you feel the magic of their journey, you know what I mean? When I think of the Pokemon anime, these are some of the first shots to come to mind because they just kind of encapsulate the whole vibe of a Pokemon journey. And I will die on this very stupid hill. Seeing Ash and the gang just casually walking away after an adventure and seeing where they'll go next, even if it has absolutely no continuity with the actual series, is just an ethereal feeling to me, and it represents the series really well in my opinion. Plus, the songs themselves are super underrated and they always go hard. I did a really old, kind of bad video about these a long time ago, a while back, but I just love the ending songs of these movies. You know, whether it's Christina Aguilera and NSYNC at the end of the first movie, Make-A-Wish using bits and pieces of the original Japanese song, We Will Meet Again from the Lucario movie, and almost all the Japanese ones go hard too, like Tweedia from the Hoopa movie. I am super nostalgic for Open My Eyes from the Diancie movie because it was around the time I got back into Pokemon, and bro, when that guitar riff hits and all the Mega Evolutions start flying through the screen, I started to cry from my eyes and my penis. I remember watching the Giratina movie one afternoon when I was a teenager, and then hearing, "This is a beautiful world," and then I went to go take out the trash, immediately after, and I had, just the gayest nature-loving moment of my entire life. But my personal favorite, though, has got to be Pokemon Heroes. The end credits of this movie feature a medley of different songs from the Pokemon anime. They start with the Pokemon Live version of You and Me and Pokemon, followed by the absolute banger known as Pikachu, I Choose You, then The Time Has Come, and capping things off with My Best Friends. And considering that this was the last movie before they transitioned into Gen 3 and kind of had a formula going at that point, I think it's very fitting that they used a lot of songs from these first two generations of Pokemon, like stuff from 2B Master or the Totally Pokemon soundtracks. I am fucking gay. It's just pure emotional vibes, especially for people who grew up with that original series. Again, while I am very biased because I have seen many of these movies multiple times since I was a child, it's just a vibe you can't really beat, man. You know what I mean? Welcome to Pokemon. Pocketman. Real. Moving on, Shrek is a film series known for its needle drops. You got the classics, right? All-Star, Holding Out for a Hero, and a few others. And those scenes are great and iconic for one reason or another. That being said, Shrek 1 and 2 had some of the best ending scenes in animation history, in my opinion, specifically because of their song choice. Shrek 1 ends with Donkey's cover of Smash Mouth's cover of I'm a Believer by the Monkees. And that song has become more associated with Shrek than I think a few other songs have, if you ask me. Everybody in the fandom always points to All-Star as the Shrek song, but the people over at DreamWorks seem to think a little bit differently, as they've used I'm a Believer on the Shrek Broadway musical, as well as Weezer doing a cover for Shrek 4. Shrek 1 and the Scott Pilgrim comics have the exact same ending, and I will not elaborate. As for Shrek 2, again, everybody always points to Holding Out for a Hero, and that scene goes fucking hard, but I've always been very partial to their version of Livin' La Vida Loca. You got Eddie Murphy and Antonio Banderas in character singing this song for the movie's final scene. Everybody's dancing and having a good time, celebrating. It is just a fucking fun vibe. It is unironically a better version of the song than the original. I'm not kidding. Antonio Banderas did not need to go that hard for this, but he did that. He did that for us. Whenever I hear Puss and Donkey, I get fucking a little bit hard. I get into it. It goes raw! Speaking of animated movies that came out in 2004, one of the first movies that I remember seeing in theaters as a child, though my memory of it is extremely hazy, was the original SpongeBob movie. Well, it's often looked back on for being generally goated with the sauce, even getting a whole fan reanimation project. To many fans, this movie represents the end of SpongeBob at its purest. This movie was originally intended to be the series finale, and though the series would continue on for long after this, series creator Steven Hillenburg and a lot of the other original crew members would no longer be involved with the show going forward, and this marked a huge shift in the public perception of it, specifically because those post-movie seasons just felt so tonally different from everything else the show had been prior. I think a large part of this is also that the movie kind of ended SpongeBob's character arc, if you could even call it that, by having him finally learn to grow up while still being in touch with his younger side. The song they use for the end credits in this movie, Ocean Man by Ween, is about this exact thing. The song is all about experiencing the world with a childlike wonder despite being jaded, and this is pretty much SpongeBob's arc in this movie to a T. The final scene of the movie has SpongeBob finally becoming the manager of the Krusty Krab, meaning that all of his peers now view him as an adult, but through his journey learned that it's still important to be a goofy goober sometimes. And the transition from this revelation into Ocean Man is just fucking perfect. Shouts out freeze frames, low key. SpongeBob has literally become the Ocean Man. Haha, it's goated. It's SpongeBob SquareNuts Real.com. But of course, SpongeBob, first and foremost, was a TV show, so let's take a break from movies for a second and talk about another TV show. Not SpongeBob, because this is a bad transition, but you get the idea. A while back, I did a video about Adventure Time, and in doing that video, I gained a much greater appreciation for it than I had before when I was a kid, and a large part of that honestly came from the music. I went on a whole tirade about that in that video, but let's focus on the end credits. Every episode of Adventure Time, save for a few specials, all end with a song called Island Song, otherwise known as Come Along With Me. And depending on the contents of that episode and the note on which it ends, that one strum of the ukulele can make you cry, scream, or even come. It's a song that can elicit so many different emotions depending on the context you hear it in. You know, sometimes it's cute and fun, other times it's a bit melancholic. You know, it's a very versatile song in that way. You know, there are a few episodes here and there that use a different song, such as the Stakes miniseries using an instrumental version of Everything Stays, and the series finale using a version of Time Adventure. And while those joints always hit, I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Island Song. Come along with me, with the butterflies and bees. We can suck a gay man's penis until he fucking creeps. But enough of that gay shit, let's talk about some even gayer shit. Neon Genesis Evangelion, a series ubiquitous with the term anime, and is one of the 4 things associated with the song Fly Me to the Moon, none of which are this movie. You know, of course, Comme Tu Ser Todd playing during End of Evangelion is a standout moment, and that shit goes fucking hard. As much as it and Fly Me to the Moon both work really well as ending songs, I think my personal favorite from Evangelion actually comes from the Rebuild movies. The first 3 Rebuilds use the song Beautiful World by Utada Hikaru as their ending songs, and I think they fit Shinji's character pretty well. It's a song all about being unsure of yourself and learning to find your confidence, which is a big part of Shinji's character. But even better than that though is the song they use in the final Rebuild film, One Last Kiss, also by Utada. What can I say? They just kind of have a knack for this kind of thing. This absolute bop will straight up fuck your emotions up if you are at all attached to these characters, even if the lyrics don't really have anything to do with the contents of the film. You know, the Genius lyrics page makes an offhanded reference to Shinji and Kaoru's relationship, but I personally think that's a bit of a stretch. But to make up for its lack of connection to the movie, after the song is finished, it then transitions into a slower, quieter version of Beautiful World called the Da Capo version, whatever the fuck that means, that makes you want to cry even more, right? I think this is kind of perfect because Beautiful World was just kind of the de facto theme of the Rebuild movies, so I think it only made sense to end with that song, especially considering people had to wait 9 years between films to see this final installment. On top of that, it being a completely new and different version of the song seems to reflect Shinji's character in the end of the movie, where he finally does gain his confidence and learns to be happy. Even though I'm not as big of an Evangelion fan as I once was, I'll always throw these songs on every now and again just to feel something, you know what I mean? And speaking of the non-binary icon, we cannot talk about Utada without talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Roxas! What'd you do with Kairi? She's part of the darkness now. She doesn't need the light.
Utada has done the main themes for each of the main Kingdom Hearts games, with Simple and Clean in Kingdom Hearts 1, Sanctuary in Kingdom Hearts 2, and 2 songs for Kingdom Hearts 3 with Face My Fears and Don't Think Twice. Apparently, Utada was unsure as to if they'd even do a song for Kingdom Hearts 3, but they ended up surprising us with 2. What a fucking legend. Listen, right? I don't care how much you don't like Kingdom Hearts or you think it's cringe and gay. If you can't admit that Simple and Clean is a fucking banger, I'm sorry, but we just can't be friends.
Is Simple and Clean playing on the intercom?
Kingdom Hearts has a pretty bad reputation for having a very confusing story, even though it really isn't if you just play the games and pay attention. And while it's obviously not the best written thing of all time, if you actually get invested in the characters, these songs just make the experience all the more enjoyable. The friendship between Sora and Kairi is central to the story, and is always brought to a head at the end of every main game. The goal of Kingdom Hearts 1 was for Sora to find Kairi, and the game ends with the two just out of reach of each other while Simple and Clean begins to play. This was an absolute fucking bruh moment the first time that I played it, because I just was not expecting that, right? Now, I was fully expecting that reunion, but instead we got sequel bait. The ending to that game just makes you want their reunion even more, so when Kingdom Hearts 2 finally comes around and we finally do get that reunion, my heart starts to flutter a little bit. Sanctuary is used absolutely perfectly in this scene, right? Well, you know, when Kairi says, "You're home," and the two join hands as the chorus kicks in, I think that might be the greatest needle drop in gaming history. gaming. This scene just really feels like a proper ending to the series. Like if honestly, like if Kingdom Hearts as a whole just ended right here, I would be perfectly fine with that because it ties up the arcs of these characters. And then Birth by Sleep happened and expanded the series even more, and while I don't mind that, this really just is a perfect ending, and it really left an impression on me all these years later. That being said, Kingdom Hearts 3 and its ending song, Don't Think Twice, goes so fucking hard, dude. With Kingdom Hearts 3 being the end of this first arc of the series and the arc of all these characters, it's really satisfying to see them all enjoying life for once after many of them have suffered for so long. The main thing of interest though is Sora and Kairi having one final moment together sitting in a tree. They aren't Kissing, but they might as well be, with Sora deciding to spend his final moments with Kairi before fading away into real life or whatever the fuck this is. The song itself is all about unconditionally loving someone even though you are unsure about what the future may hold, and I cannot think of a better way to describe Sora and Kairi's friendship. Now, I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 was underwhelming like a lot of other fans did, but I cannot say that I wasn't at least a little bit emotional when I first played it, and this ending with this great song really just hit the mark, I think. Complete side note, but Kingdom Hearts and Evangelion combined have made me an absolute Utada stan, bro. I've listened to all their albums, bro. Automatic, fucking banger. First Love fucking slaps. Yo, Automatic goes so fucking hard. Like, that song is nostalgic to me, and I did not grow up in Japan in the 2000s, let me tell you that. But those have been just a few examples of my favorite end credits music, and again, I know it's an extremely niche topic, but it's always been something that's appealed to me, right? You know, I've always just felt that it's a very underrated part of my favorite media, and I'm glad that I was able to externalize a little bit of that today. And there's even some that I didn't talk about, so maybe it'll be a part 2. I don't know. Fuck you. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite ending song is and your favorite piece of media. Leave a like for the algorithm, subscribe, Patreon, all that shit. I have been MattCMG, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Puss and Donkey, y'all.
Oh, we're supposed to be having a fiesta? Hold on, Donkey. All right, who's the donkey?
The party starts here at Walmart Friday, November the 5th. Shrek 2 is on DVD with an all-new surprise ending. And it comes with a great CD of songs from the new ending. Only at Walmart.
Every party needs music, Amber. Oh, no, no! Got it!
Let's get some pussy tonight.